Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wandering Podcast, where we take advisement from outside the box. I'm Rihanna Ritter, your host. I'm an intuitive, sexuality, and authentic expression coach. Are you an accomplished professional who plays the part of having it all figured out? Who's strong for everyone else but feels lonely, misunderstood, like you can't tell anybody the truth about how stressed you are, how not passionate you are about your life and all that you've created? I guide my clients to deep, lasting fulfillment. I re-engage them with their bodies, their pleasure, their desire. I help them align to enjoy fulfillment and prosperity in all areas of their lives. Today, my guest is Amy Woods. She's the owner and CEO of Women Choosing Excellence. Welcome, Amy. Thank you for being here.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this today.
Yeah, me too. So tell me a bit about what Women Choosing Excellence offers, and then kind of how you started it, how and why.
Well, okay. So the term actually women choosing excellence came from the fact, I was actually at a women's retreat and somebody had said, I don't know, for you, I see escorting yourself to excellence. And then it kind of stewed in my head. I'm like, women choosing excellence because I want to bring about, this thing to the women's community that you get to choose excellence in your life. We don't have to wait for somebody to lead us in everything that we do, and we get to do everything to the best of our ability. And the more that we do that, the more we believe in ourselves, the more doubt starts to fade away, and the more fear you can push through. So that's how Women Choosing Excellence was born. And I basically based it off of that at first. Back in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I was graduating from college after a really hard divorce and a really hard time. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I was getting ready for internships, and everything shut down. They didn't know. I'm like, I'm just going to start my own business. So I started off with sales and marketing because I've done well in sales in the past. And I met a coach and she's like, you have such like a vast life experience. She goes, why are you not coaching people as like a mindset coach or a mindfulness coach? And I'm like, what's a coach? I come from the steel mills, we don't have coaches there. If they do, it's for football or basketball. It's not like a business coach. And she explained to me a little bit about what it was. So I just started kind of studying, and I hired my first mentor, and that was a sales coach and a content coach because I didn't really have any idea how to run a business. Like I said, I'm from the mill industry, and we worked our whole life, from generation to generation. Nobody owned a business. It's like that's not in my family repertoire.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot about the industry, got certified as a mindfulness coach, and I've just been plugging at it, along, and I've let it evolve as it's needed to. And now I'm doing a lot of speaking. I'm actually hosting my own in-person event here in August, which I'm super excited about. And I just love what I do. I'm not employable ever again.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
That would be so hard.
Yeah. So I'm wondering what was the catalyst that got you out of the mills and into this?
So, husband number one. Me, him, and my two kids, we moved from Chicago area down to Tennessee. Long story short, we went through a really bad divorce, but I mean, that kind of got me out of the industry itself. At the time of moving, I was a dialysis technician. And after that, I started working at a distribution center, and it didn't pay much because I didn't live in a city in Tennessee. It was a rural town, and like max wages are, you might be lucky to make $10 an hour top pay, so maybe
Wow.
12.
Yeah. Wow.
um, but we decided to get a divorce, and through this, he was it was bitter. It wasn't supposed to be, but it ended up being bitter. I ended up going homeless, and I had to send my kids back to live with him because I wouldn't take them into homelessness with me. Um, I knew what was going to happen. Their family's notorious for alienating people, but I also knew what would it would do to my kid's spirit to become homeless, and that just wasn't an option as a mom for me. So I was homeless, and I got served full custody papers, and can't afford a lawyer, so I lost my kids. And then I began drinking really, really heavy to deal with that because I never in a million years expected that to happen. And I didn't know how to deal with it. And I basically, for 2 years, drunk myself down to where I wasn't functioning, was having seizures. I was just, it was a mess. And I tried taking my own life. And I woke up in the hospital 4 days later. So that was like my point of change. And like I was sitting in the hospital, and the nurse asked me about what happened and stuff. And she's like, "Well, what are you going to do now?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't have nothing. I have nobody. I have no home, no car, no job. What am I supposed to do?" And she's like, "Exactly. You have nothing stopping you, nothing holding you back." She goes, "What are you going to do moving forward?" So before I left the hospital, because I was there for about 7 days, between the mental health recoup and the detox and stuff. I had to be medically detoxed, so it took a little bit. Um, but I enrolled in college before I left the hospital on my laptop, and I haven't looked back since. I've kept going.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really inspiring. I mean,
it
so
was
many
hard.
people like you're in total rock bottom, and a lot of people they just die. Like, how did
Yeah.
you pull
I
yourself out
didn't
of that?
realize, nobody had ever asked me in my life, what do you want? And I think that's what did it. I realized at that point, oh, I do have a choice to change how life is going. I do have a choice on creating the life that I want to live because I don't have nothing. I'm starting from nowhere. So, where do I want to take it? How do I want to design it? And I sat and I journaled, and I, prayed, and I cried, and I was so scared. But I was
Yeah.
just like, I can take control of this. And I didn't want something to hold that much power over me anymore because my whole life I've been controlled and overpowered and told what to do. And, this is your place in life type of thing. And I was done with that. I'm like, this can't happen. I have to pull my power back, and I do have choices. I could have stayed going that way, and nobody could have stopped it. But I can also go this way and nobody stop it too. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And so there's that, like, speaking of growing up, your whole life being controlled and deciding to take your power back. Like, a lot of times people just don't even realize how damaging it is to have been controlled their whole life, and they don't
Yeah.
know how to they don't even know that they need to take their power back. They don't even realize that they've never asked themselves or been asked the question of what do you want. And
Yeah.
so how do you take women? I'm imagining these are the kind of women that are attracted to working with you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
How does that journey kind of go?
Sometimes they're just coming out of a bad situation. That's kind of where I get them because you can't push somebody into that point of change. If you do, I'm not a psychologist, so I don't have that capability of knowledge to help them get to that point of change. And I wouldn't want to push somebody that far because I don't know how far it would push them. So I basically catch them on the way back up. Like, I need support. I'm done with this. How do I heal this? How do I change the way I've been thinking my whole life? I don't like it. I don't know what it is, but now what do I do? I need your support. So really, it's up to that person to it's a drug addict type thing, no matter, it's just a behavior. Drug addiction, alcohol addiction, staying in a unhappy marriage, or keep going back to the same situation to where it's not healthy and it's chaotic. It's an chaos is addicting too, because we
Yeah.
can.
Yes.
And one of the things that I learned when I was homeless is we can normalize everything. And that, I think that's what got me out of homelessness so quick, is because I saw how other people, it was their normal life. They were just waiting, and it was something normal. They had their daily routines they did. And I'm like, I can't normalize this. So when you have an addict, that's normal for them at that point until it's no longer acceptable for them. And same with, somebody who's been controlled and grew up in an abusive household, or just in chaos, and everything's just always up in commotion. They get to a point where it's no longer normal for them, and they don't know the different behavior patterns. So that's what they're seeking out. Like, how do I change this?
Mm, yeah, yeah. I mean, I can relate because I grew up in a very strict controlling religion, Jehovah's Witnesses, and so I was also very much addicted to, and I still find myself in that pattern, addicted to,
Oh yeah.
um, like waiting for the other shoe to drop, chaos, um, just a lot of negative patterns of thought where like everything's gonna go wrong because it feels more dangerous to be a creator than it is to stay in the predictability of hopelessness. Do you know what I
Yes.
mean?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard to try to be the leader of your own life and know, okay, nobody's gonna get mad at me. Like, I started out small with that because money was always the control factor, over my head. That,
yeah,
and telling me, my family was no good, stay away from them, and just that pulling apart. And it took me a long time. And my now husband, he finally looked at me and he goes, "You are free here. Do you not know that?" I'm like, "I don't know what freedom means." So I started taking $100 without permission, and I'd go spend it. And I would notice how guilty and fearful I felt. And I would come home and journal about it. And I would do that until I didn't feel that no more. Then I would take $200, and now I'll just, unless it's really big, I'm like, hey, I'm going to take this money.
yeah,
But I still have feelings about it. It's not that the feelings don't come up. It's just, I know by the little steps of creating a new behavior pattern, I'm safe. So
yes.
I know that it's not going to come back and bite me in the face. Now, I still wait every day for that other shoe to drop. I'm always like, why isn't he taking me out? Why is this not happening? Why is that not happening? It's like, why ain't I doing it myself?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. I'm gonna pause this real quick. Yeah, so this is like a lot of people misconstrue what healing means and that like it's a destination and then you'll never have these feelings come up again. They'll just but really it's not like for example, I think in my ayahuasca ceremony or after it, I believed that okay, I saw not just current life trauma, but even past life stuff that I definitely didn't want to see and
Yeah.
so I saw it, and so I'm all healed, all better. All these patterns are gonna disappear. But really, it's a practice, right? What you're describing by taking the $100 and then the $200, it's a practice, and you have to like work it into your body, your tissues, your neural
Yeah.
pathways. Like it's finding grounding and safety and resourcing in your body. So like when you would have those feelings of guilt and shame, how did you resource yourself and get back to no, I'm safe? Like what was one of the tools that you used or
I use 2 or 3 different tools for me because, the loss of my kids, the divorce and stuff, it was quite traumatizing. And I'm on anxiety medicines because of it. And there's no shame if you have to get that. But I do have like a PTSD type syndrome to where I go into these rages without it. So, and it's just my body reacting to the trauma. So I thought, with the anxiety medicines, what can I do to let this go and heal the grief and grieve my kids and, allow myself to do that. So I started studying a lot about what grief is, and it's just an expression of love. So that helped me a little bit, with that part, but I had to get my body moving because I was so tensed up that, I went to rage rooms. Honestly,
Yeah, I
I did.
love that.
Um, I went and I started doing like somatic movements, a lot of walking, a lot of weightlifting, um, just anything to get my body moving to loosen up everything. Then I started with meditation. I learned about, the releasing of, how mindfulness releasing and grounding can help you, cut those strings to your memories and that you don't have to bring them with you. You can respect them, but you don't have to bring them with you everywhere. Um, and then journaling for me. I do a lot of journaling. I have books upon books of journaling, and I'm in the middle of trying to gather them to create a book for them too, but it's a lot of journals.
Yeah.
But I had to journal, write it out as if I was speaking. And I don't know, it's really weird when you write about that kind of trauma, you just feel heard. Nobody has to see it, nobody has to hear it, nobody has to know it, but you feel heard. And nobody's arguing back with you, telling you you're wrong. Nobody's telling you your feelings are wrong. Nobody's telling you you need to change how you're feeling. But you also have to replace that with something, right? You can only let go so much before you're like, okay, now what do I do? So I started learning about different behavior patterns and how to recondition my mind with conversations about conflict, about emotions. And, if I'm feeling a certain way, I take a minute before I respond or react, and then I respond. So I've had to be very intentional with that to overcome and retrain my mind and those emotional triggers that I would get, or I guess it's the conditioning we go through, kind of all our life of asking permission and, needing validation. And I had to really work hard on that. And it's 5 years in now and I'm still working on it. So it's definitely a process.
Yeah, yeah. And, I would say even generational, like we've been trained to ask permission and be controlled for like thousands of years. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's deeply ingrained in our bodies and brains and in
Well,
our,
even, as kids, we have to raise our hand to to go to the bathroom, a natural body
yeah,
function that we
yeah,
have to do, and we have to
yeah,
ask permission to do it. And it's like, that
yeah.
doesn't seem quite right.
Not at all. Not at all. So there's a pattern that I noticed in myself as around money. Um, when you are so controlled, and money is one of the things that is used to control you, you start to believe, like I work on manifesting a lot. And
Mm.
I've been able to manifest all kinds of things and been really good at it. And then at one point, like it kind of stopped working. And I'm like, oh no, what's going on here? And what I found was that I had this belief that in order to be worthy of money, that I had to be worthy of, like there was something to be worthy of. Like just having enough money to take care of myself was not a noble enough reason for me to receive money. And
Oh,
I had a shift finally with where it was just like, no, actually, you don't have to be a philanthropist. Like women in particular have this habit of uh, filling other people from an empty cup, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think when you're especially a woman who is raised in a very strict, controlling religion, plus having abuse at home, and usually abuse at home coincides with strict, controlling religion because those are the type of people that are attracted to that kind of thing. So
Right. Yeah.
if you have all of that going on, you were probably taught that you're basically supposed to be a slave and take care of everybody else and you're last. And then to be worthy of money, you have to have some bigger purpose for it. Like you have to be giving it away. You need to be a philanthropist. And I mean, there's so much advice out there for mindset coaching where people may have been underachievers their whole lives and maybe
Mm.
and so there's like this harsh kind of you need to get to work, you're not working hard enough, but there are a
Yeah.
whole lot of people in the world who have been way overextending themselves and the last thing that they need to be doing is grinding hard at like they
Yeah.
there's a lot of healing that needs to be done and a lot of learning how to embrace pleasure and freedom and joy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And it's okay to, I mean, we have turned into a society, which I totally agree with, that mental health needs to become less taboo and something that we talk about more. But it's okay to be happy too. And,
Yeah.
I'm finding I meet a lot of resistance when I talk about that because it's like, you know, they think you're automatically not empathizing people who have gone through a lot of struggle. And it's like, listen, I've worked really hard to be happy.
Yeah.
It's taken a lot of work to get to this point. But for me with the money, it was my mom feared money. Like I was doing her bills when I was 12 years old because she wanted nothing to do with it. She feared it, she feared making it, she feared having it. And then so I was taught to fear money. Like, what's it gonna
Yeah.
do? And then I got into a marriage where with two boys 18 months apart that were in sports and very active in the community, I was given $100 allowance for groceries, gas, getting them everywhere. And
Oh,
that was all I was allowed. And if I ran out, it was a fight. And it's like, yeah, so I had nothing, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
So when I come into this marriage and I mean, I when I met my now husband, he was a successful CEO at a pharmacy and he not rich, but he was comfortable. And I'm like, I don't know how to live like this, and I almost felt like sometimes like he was putting me down kind of thing, but it wasn't him putting me down. It was the fact that I really did not know how to live a comfortable lifestyle.
Yeah.
And, to go I mean, he did the grocery shopping, he paid the bills, and I'm like, what do you need from me? He's like, nothing. And I'm like, what do you mean nothing? He goes, your check is your check. I've got the bills. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
Yeah.
So that's when we had that talk about, you're free here. But the fact that, you don't need to grind after a hard situation. All you're going to do is burn yourself out. And I've seen people go in the hospital from it. What you need to do is honor your energy, honor your spirit, honor your mental state. If you need a break, take a break. I took 6 months off this winter because 5 years of working hard, I was like, I need to stop for a little bit and, smell the roses of what I'm creating instead of just being like in my computer all the time. So,
Yeah.
or in a book all the time learning. You have to learn, create, let go. And that's what I've designed my patterns to be.
I love that. Learn, create, let go. Like go out
Yeah.
in nature, breathe. I mean, a lot of
Go on a trip.
times,
Yeah. Or
yeah.
put your feet in the sand or, something.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Go
there's,
hug
I
a,
mean,
I went last spring and I hugged a cow.
really?
I
Where
did.
was that?
It was it's just south of Nashville. They have a farm where they take animals that are going to slaughter. They were going to slaughter, and something stopped it to where they couldn't go. So they adopt those animals, and they have two cows. You can go in, you can, like, you can comb them, you can lay down and hug them, and it's so weird, but it's the most grounding experience I've ever felt.
Wow.
Yeah, I can still feel the warmth, and she just lays there and she'll sit there and put her head like that.
Wow.
So cool.
That sounds really therapeutic.
It was. It was.
Yeah. Yeah. So there are so many tools in like being in nature and affection and learning to be that it's okay to be happy. Like I have been so addicted to being unhappy that like
Mm,
you don't realize that your thoughts, I mean, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about it all the time, but your thoughts create emotions and emotions create a response in the body, like a physiological response, and then they feed each other. And then so you
yeah.
stay in this loop unless you interrupt it. So
Yeah.
I think people have an extreme challenge of even noticing when they're in a loop like that. So, what's one of the ways that you catch yourself and get yourself out of those types of loops?
I notice my thoughts will be on repeat a lot about past situations when I'm in that loop. So for me, you can't just learn, you can't just heal, you can't just work. So when you heal, you have to fill that back up with something you enjoy. And a lot of times people don't know what they enjoy.
Yeah.
They've never had the chance to discover something. Um, maybe it's painting, maybe it's horseback riding, maybe it's being out on the lake, maybe it's, just being out with the girls or, going to a play or something. So I recommend trying different things until you find something that's like, that's what I want in my life every single week.
That scared me. Okay.
We
Okay.
got dogs. Sorry,
Yeah.
people.
But
But
yeah.
for me, that's when once I did that and I noticed I was in that mindset loop, that's what I would take an extra day off because I'm the boss. I can always, if I need somebody to do something for me, I can, give it to somebody else. And I would just trust them, and I would go do one of those things to get myself out of that mind loop.
So when you are used to being controlled, do you find that it's difficult to trust? Because, like, to trust your team members and let them handle it, like, how has that journey been for you?
Started small. I'm just now
Yeah.
hiring. Yeah. To delegate is like, what? You want me to delegate this? No. How do I train people? I don't know how to do that. It starts small, and really it's about taking the time to build self-trust too. Because once you trust yourself, if somebody does something that, you know, first of all, you're not going to allow something bad to happen to yourself because you trust your decisions. So there's that point. And I think from there, everything else just falls into place. I started small with training and slowly delegating. I've really developed close professional relationships. Like we meet twice a year just to go have fun. So I've got those kind of people in my life. And that's super important. And I think if you can find those people, and they're from all over the world, all over the country. It's not like they're from right here in my neighborhood. Meet up with them, meet the people, get to know their family. What is at stake for them so you can trust them to hand over, hey, I need this marketing. We need to fill 200 seats. Let's do this. And you can trust them to get the job done.
Mm, yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. So, um, part of the journey that I've been on, like, because of the strict controlling religion, there's this controlling of sexuality, which is pretty notorious with religion, having
Mm.
a lot of body shame and trying to repress your emotions and your sexuality. And in doing so, it makes people easier to control. So, did you have any kind of issue journey with body shame, sexual shame?
Oh
Did
yeah.
you have any, and like how did you build trust in yourself in those areas?
So I wasn't really, well, I guess I never looked at it. This is new. I'm discovering something. Do you see my brain turn? um, so body shaming for me was I didn't have, you know, breasts. I didn't grow like my own breasts until I was in my 40s. Like they just appeared. So
Wow.
yeah, I just hit puberty at 40. Go through menopause, and now I got them.
How funny.
um, so there was a lot of shaming, from people around me for that. I was always really thin, so I didn't really have much there, but I wasn't allowed to have sexual emotions in my
Mm,
home. I come from a very strict Catholic background. My grandmother wanted to be a nun, as a matter of fact. Um, and you went to church, you stayed the course. If you did have breasts, you covered them, you smushed them down. You didn't wear makeup, and you had very plain hair. You did not get
mm,
noticed. And my mom, she was from a controlling family, and in my healing journey, as I've asked her questions to understand her, and that's a big point of healing too. You have to ask questions to understand where the people have come from, because
yeah.
they're that way because they don't know better, and they do better once they know better. So um back to the point. My mom, I wasn't allowed to be around boys. I wasn't allowed to date. I wasn't allowed my own car. I wasn't allowed any of that. So to rebel, I did everything behind her back.
Mhm.
So I would put myself in risky situations, and I would put myself in situations where, well, she couldn't control it. I'm making the decision, and then bad outcomes would happen. Like I was raped when I was young, and had an abortion when I was young because I ended up pregnant at a very young age. And moving forward, I used my body to attract the people I wanted to attract
Yeah.
instead of my mind and my soul and my spirit until I got
Mm.
older.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the dangers that I see with parents that are trying to control their kids' sexuality by teaching abstinence or just repression, or like what's that, purity culture. We
Yeah.
kind of grew up in a time of purity culture where girls would be given like a ring from their parents that where they kept themselves a virgin, and it's like, okay, but the desires are still there. We're actually animals, and we're making this into this very big thing because religion needs to control us. And if we cannot embrace our sexuality, then we
Mm.
can be controlled. And,
Yeah.
you know, religions are starting to loosen up now because they're discovering that people aren't willing to put up with it anymore. but
Yeah.
but it's dangerous to raise kids in a way, because I did the same thing. I put myself in super risky situations. I was so repressed and controlled that I did drugs way too young. I had sex
Hmm.
with people who didn't care about me, and you know, I wanted it to not be a big deal, like the sex thing. So I just was doing it with multiple partners, just to trying to train myself to believe that it wasn't a big deal and that it was just a physical
Yeah.
act and there need not be any emotion tied to it, which is so not healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I went the other way. It's like, okay, this is the only way to feel emotion for
Mm,
me. So, I mean, there's both sides of that. And I'm like, with my kids growing up, I didn't tell them, no, you can't do this. I taught them how to be responsible about it. Love, you better care for her. Don't just jump in the sack with somebody, because what if you do end up getting pregnant? How are you going to explain that to her father? You know,
Yeah.
think of these things, and if you're not ready for that, it's okay to say no. But if you are, make sure you have feelings, make it special for her, and make sure you're protecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to have more informed, consensual conversations, not this is the rule and we're not doing this, because it just doesn't work. Like so many,
No.
I think boys and girls end up in sexual situations that are not anywhere near gratifying, and they're left feeling kind of empty and sad because of
Yeah.
these ways of being about sex. Like it's some big dirty shameful thing. Like we're above that because we're not animals. And it's like, yeah, we are animals and we're not above it. Like we have to do it in
And
order to procreate. So
it's a personal intimacy. I mean, there's a level there of getting to know who you are in that too.
yes.
And I think, you know, it would be more women growing up, and men would respect their bodies more if they're taught about figure out what you like, get intimate with yourself so you understand how to express that to somebody else and let them know what you like. And, it shouldn't be so taboo, like, oh my God,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's such a way of getting to know yourself. It's there's feelings, emotions, physical feelings and emotions. So, I mean, that's the same, it's equivalent to, doing, graduating college, or, there's physical, mental, and emotional emotions there. So why wouldn't you want your child to understand their body there, as far
Yeah.
as that goes?
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the, I mean, being that I put myself in high risk situations, and I had multiple traumatic sexual encounters, whether it was assault, there was some of that, and then there was like rapish kind of scenarios,
Yeah.
and then there
Yeah.
was just the empty ones, which is also traumatic. And one of
Yeah.
the ways that I worked on healing all of that was through a couple plant medicine ceremonies, through breath work ceremony, like somatic practices. But one of the
Yeah.
major ones was self pleasure. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's a spiritual practice that I do every day, because it's like checking my own temperature. Like, where am I at
Mhm.
emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually? Like, and and to your point, like being able to express with a partner what you like and don't like is kind of a big deal. There's a lot of
Mm.
sex happening out there that's really not satisfying for a lot of people, because they don't feel like it's okay to talk about what they want or don't want. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, there's just,
Well, let's face it, we're not in a porn movie.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not how it is.
No.
So much more to that.
And unfortunately, that's where a lot of people get their sex education.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I was like, no, that's not where my kids are going to learn it from.
No, no. I think it's a little safer to like touch yourself and figure out what you like and
Yeah.
don't like.
Yeah. And I love how you say check the temperature, because I know for women, like our emotional state is connected to that a lot. So if you're not able to relax enough, okay, then what's going on with me? What's
Yeah.
happening here? You get to check
Yeah.
yourself in different ways. So I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the points of it is not to expect yourself to reach orgasm, but just to be like, where am I? And if I
Yeah.
can't get there, do I even want to get there? And if like, am I good with just like this? Is this good
Yeah.
enough? Like,
Yeah.
who am I? Where am I today? It's changing every day. And it's just really, I think one of the journey of life to me is to get to know yourself, is to really
Yes. That's
find
the whole
your
point why we're here.
authentic desires, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people are asking, what's the meaning of life? It's like, it's to get to know yourself.
Yeah, like what is your purpose for being here? Get to know yourself well enough to know why you were created and why you're here and what talents and what you bring to the world. And the more you do that, the more you heal anything from your past and you're more comfortable and the more you trust yourself.
Yeah. So a lot of people believe that they're just moving on from their past. Like I I'm, you know, that happened a long time ago and I'm just moving forward in it. But yet they talk incessantly about it and they complain about it and they don't even hear themselves. And the thoughts are looping in their head all day, every day, and
Yeah.
stopping them from doing something authentic, like delicious, being who they really are, taking a step in a direction that feels a little risky, but alive. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of people are like, I'm good. Like I don't need to revisit past traumas. And so do you find that, or are people usually past that when they're ready to go to coaching?
Oh no, there's a lot of people that don't want to revisit, understandably so. Depending on what the trauma is. I find more though that if you explain to them by not revisiting it, you're actually carrying it forward with you. Um, because you are. If you're still thinking about it all the time and it's just in your head and you have those emotions every single day and it's the same conversation with yourself, then you need to go back and revisit and see what lesson is there that you still need to learn. Because I don't, not that we asked for these things to happen, but I do believe that they're a teaching tool for us. Okay. So I know I don't ever want to control somebody with money. I know I want to build money, have money. I've learned that money is energy. It flows in and it flows out. It's not to be controlled. So there's something I learned there. Does that mean that I, you know, want to revisit, exactly everything that happened? No. But I also know with, the situation with my kids, especially, it's like, what did I do wrong? I don't understand this. I don't get this. I know people who get their kids back after a hell of a lot worse, and it's like,
Yeah.
why don't my kids, do they not remember who I was? This, that, and the other thing, because this all happened when they were teenagers and driving, so they were a little older. And it's like, do they not remember? And I would play that over and over and over in my head to the point that I just kept beating myself up over it.
Mhm.
So I had to go back there and revisit a little bit. And then I had to realize I have to let people of my past have their own journey because that will give them the ability to become who they're gonna supposed to become. I have to let that part go and try not to redesign what happened and to know, okay, it's done, it's over with. But I also had to accept responsibility of I said yes to this person to marry him when everybody else told me, why are you going to marry him?
Mhm.
I had
Yeah.
my own responsibility in there and I had to forgive myself for that. And I had to I had to fully grieve who I was before. And because as you move forward, you're going to let parts of yourself go. And you have to grieve that person, that version of yourself, so the new version can come in. You can't be both. So I think revisiting is good to let it go, but you visit it, learn the lessons, and then you move forward and you leave it there. Because I
Yeah.
think, and that's a practice. That's not something that just happens either. And I think that's the misinterpretation about healing is once you say, or forgiveness even. Oh, I said I forgive this person in my head. Why am I still mad at them? Well, it's a practice. It's not
Yeah.
something that's like a magic wand that goes, okay, everything's better.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Yeah.
takes
And
intention and awareness, right? So,
yeah.
like like for me, the really old story was like my dad made one comment when I was little about I'm going to smarten your dumb head up because we disagreed about something. So I did not I was not conscious of the fact that every single day that was playing in the back of my mind, driving my behavior to never appear stupid. Like I always had to be the smartest person in the room. I wouldn't ask questions. I couldn't be curious and compassionate because that meant that I was stupid or dumb, whatever the word was. It was dumb. And I have like really controlling perfectionist, like a lot of, I missed out on relationships
Mm.
because of this little thing. And
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was there. And a lot of people, it's so habitual that they
Yeah.
have no idea that it's even there. But
Mm.
if it's directing your behavior, like if you notice that you're always doing this same thing over and over and it's a pattern, and like you're afraid to be wrong ever, like
Yeah.
there's something there that needs to be
Yeah.
really consciously looked at so that it can stop directing your behavior.
Right. Yeah. And when I was first on this healing journey with my mom, um, one of the things was, I was looking at why did I keep ending up in controlling situations? And one of the things that I noticed that my mom does, she doesn't trust me at all. Even to this day, she doesn't fully trust me. I was always guilty by association. She never got um the full scope of the story, and if I told her, she always thought I was lying. So if I'm always doing something wrong, I needed somebody to come in and steer me and say, this is how things are done.
Mm.
And I was like, looking back, I'm like, why didn't you ever trust me? She goes, well, you were hanging out with this, that, and the other, and they were drinking and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Mom, I would have one or two beers. Oh, I didn't know that. You were guilty by association. I'm like, so you didn't trust me. And I'm like, that's not how this shouldn't be, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
didn't have that self awareness and self trust in my own self to live a life and be able to make it on my own. And I fully believe that not believing in myself is how I ended up homeless because I went out of that situation and I'm like, what do? I don't know how to make it. You know, I didn't know how to make. How do you make it with two teenage boys, one driving, one getting ready to drive on $10 an hour? I'm like, oh, I should have worked two jobs. But I
Mm.
didn't know that was an option because nobody was there telling me what to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Needing to be told what to do all the time.
Yeah.
It's like so damaging. And
Mm.
we don't realize, as parents, you think, oh, I'm going to tell you what to do and I'm going to be over your shoulder directing you all the time. And that's going to keep you safe and make you successful in life. And it's like, mm-mm, no,
Mm-mm.
it's,
Yeah.
it doesn't, you don't learn self-trust, which is one of the biggest things. Like we have so many people who are adults walking around in adult bodies, but they're letting other people tell them how to live their lives and what they need and what they don't need because they don't trust themselves. And it's like
Yeah.
building self trust is when you stop living for other people because
Yep.
they, like you mentioned earlier at the beginning, they're only operating on what they know and they don't
Yeah.
know. Like there are so many times when somebody has an agenda about keeping you small or keeping you in a certain behavior because they're getting something from that and they
Mhm.
don't, and they're, it's like in the name of caring about you, they're giving you all this advice and directing you and trying to control your circumstances, but really what they're doing is they're seeing you outgrow a pattern that they're used to you being in and it's
Yeah.
scaring them and they're afraid they're not going to get what they need from you anymore.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that is so good. Yeah. Very
Yeah,
true.
it's, yeah, and so it's really hard to discern like who's coming from a place of love and care and who's coming from with that on the surface, but they have an unconscious fear that's driving it that is not good for you and it's not
Right.
helping you grow and be happy and achieve what you want to achieve. um, so I think the way that we learn to discern that is through that self-trust, right? Knowing
Yeah,
what we actually
absolutely.
want and need.
Yeah, and recognizing those behavior patterns and putting those boundaries. It's okay to have boundaries. And another point is that it's okay to let people go quietly. You don't have to make a ruckus if that person's not, a productive member for your circle. And I say productive member, maybe that if they're not your tribe per se and aren't supportive and aren't giving and they're just telling you, hey, you should do this, you should do that, that's a cue that, oh, they've got that personality. And I'm just going to slowly let them slide on by and not make a ruckus. You don't have to say, hey, I grew up like that and blah, blah, and start accusing them. You can just, it's okay to
Yeah.
have that boundary without saying, that's a boundary for me. You can just say,
Yeah.
okay, I wish you well, and
Yeah.
I'm going to go over here.
And I'm going to
Yeah.
bow out now.
Yeah.
There's a different stage for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish you well, though. I wish you all the love and success and, send them light and love and happiness. And then you can put that boundary up without it being a conflict. And I think that's where society has gotten to. They don't need to know your opinion about it. They don't need to know what you think about it. They don't need to know it bothers you that that's their personality. You can just let them go be with their people, and that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. I think that so many times people won't put up a boundary because they're afraid of conflict. And
Hmm.
um, boundaries don't have to be like you could just not text, not
Yeah.
call, not choose to spend your time, make an excuse when they want to
Yeah.
hang out and you're not up for it. Like
Just let it fade
there will
off.
be times when you feel like hanging out with them, but there will be times when you're just not up for it and that's totally okay. Like a
Yeah.
lot of us think we owe things to people. Like we owe people our lives and our energy and
Yeah.
our time. It's really interesting. I mean, I'm certainly one of those people that has been in that pattern for a very long time.
I have to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To the point to where I've noticed, like, even with my husband, it's like he'll want to do certain things or he'll not want to because he's a little bit older than I am and he's retired. So, he's living the good life just being retired. And I'm like, no, I want to go on trips. I want to go do this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, he's like, I don't want to do that. So I have that thing, instead of creating, a big argument about it, I'm just like, okay, well, you can do your thing. If you're happy, that's great. I'm going to be over here doing my thing and we'll meet in the middle. Is that okay? He's like, yeah. So we sat down one day and I'm like, well, what are your requirements in this relationship? And I asked, what he specifically needs out of this relationship. And I think that communication level, even with my friends, I'll ask them. If I feel like there's a little tension, I'll be like, what do you require from me right now? And if I can't do that, I'll let you know. But at least you're opening up that conversation without that conflicting voice of, don't do that. Ask them what they require from you. And if it's something you can't deliver for them, say no and let them make the choice. And it takes all the conflict out of it.
Yeah, yeah. And a lot of people probably won't take that step without having built self trust. So that's one of the great things about having coaches and communities and t-
Yes.
people that can show you how to do that and build your self-worth up to the point that you understand that you're worthy of setting boundaries and having clear communication that's nonviolent and
Yeah.
so how do people find you and work with you?
So I'm everywhere. I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm on Instagram. All Amy Woods Coaching or Amy Woods Business Coaching as my handles. I'm on. I'm new to this. Hold on. Stackable? Is it stackable? Hold on.
Substack? Stack?
Thank you. Substack. That's it.
Substack.
I'm on there. I have my own podcast on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you can listen to podcasts. And that's called the Journey to Your Inner Power.
Awesome. Beautiful. And you have
Yeah,
a website, right?
I do. It's womenchoosingexcellence.com.
Awesome. Yeah, and it is a choice. We are not all handed the same journey or dealt the same cards, and that doesn't mean anything about our possible future outcomes. We can choose excellence. So, um,
Yes. Yes, we can. And just with a real quick ending note, if there's something you really want, Google it. If it's out there and exists, somebody else has done it, that means you can too. So don't discount yourself. If it's out there and it exists, it's because somebody has made it possible to do it, which means it's possible for you too.
I love that. And also, if you have the desire to do something, God put those desires in you.
Yes. Yes.
Whether you believe
Yes.
in
Oh my
God,
gosh,
universe, whatever.
that could be a whole nother episode. I'm big
Yeah.
on that imagination and intuition. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking the time. It was awesome to talk with you.
Thank you. It was so good to be here, and thank you for having me on.